Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I'll be tackling a relatively straightforward set of repairs on our 2004 Cadillac Escalade. Despite them being relatively straightforward, unfortunately they're also some of the most expensive set of repairs. So, you probably already know by what's on the table next to me what's going to be happening. I'm going to be replacing all of the shock absorbers. And the reason they're so expensive is, one, we've got a self-leveling air ride setup in the back, and all four shocks feature an electronic component. So these Escalades had what they called road active suspension. You can kind of think of it as like the predecessor to magnetic ride control. So at least with the back shocks, there's an electronic connector up here that alters like the damping response, and then there's an air chamber built into here to, raise and lower, keep ride height, all that good stuff, especially when you're towing. And I had a feeling the original air shocks were on borrowed time, but I've towed one car with it and it was fine. The second car I tried to tow with it, it fell all the way to the ground and would not pick itself back up until I unhooked the trailer. So anyway, we've got the rear air shocks with the electronic component, and I've got new front shocks with the electronic component. The sensor actually attaches to this, and I'll show you guys that later. But anyway, being that I'm going this far, I'm also going to change out the sway bar bushings and end links. I'm going to replace the compressor for the rear air ride system and replace all of the plastic lines, basically as much as possible to just make this thing like new at this point, because this thing has super low miles. We really like it. And at the end of the day, it's still cheaper than going and buying a new one. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing up in the air. We'll start taking some stuff apart and see how much of a mess this is actually going to end up being. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. One more thing, guys, I wanted to let you know right quick, if you're interested in any parts or supplies that I'm using in this video, I've got a link to my Amazon store down in the description box below, and of course I will be adding more to it over time. Anything that you purchase through that link helps support the channel and future project videos. I really very much appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. So here's the shock. Thankfully, this is really easy to get out. It's just like any other shock. You've got the nut up top here, a bolt down on the control arm, but because these have the electronic feature, there's a little electric connector at the very top that you have to pull off. There's a little locking tab at the bottom, and you have to turn it counterclockwise. It helps to like hold the upper portion and then rotate the bottom portion, and then once that's unlocked, it basically just pulls right off the top. So tuck that out of the way, and now I can just start pulling this out. Definitely doesn't help if there's a little rust on this shaft. It's coming out all right. All right. Ended up having to break out the old vice grips, but it's finally loose. So far, so good. Thankfully, this is a very straightforward process. I'm about to reinstall the front shock, but I wanted to show you guys just a quick little side-by-side comparison. The top nut gets torqued to the 15 pound-feet. This bottom nut is 59 pound-feet. Last thing to do up here is to reconnect this electrical sensor. Just press it down firmly, and then that little lock tab, we're going to turn it clockwise. So that should be locked. Give it a little tug, locked in place, and we're good to go. I'm not sure if you guys heard that little thing fall to the floor, but as you can see, I'm just about out of retaining tabs on that center cap. There's only 4 left. The Escalade was missing 2 of them when I first bought it, and fortunately you can still get new old stock originals, so I might have to order another set. Pulling the rear shocks, I think, is a lot easier than the front. You've got an electrical connector right here, so pull the tab, pull that back, trying to be careful not to break the tab. And then here's the air line. There's actually a little metal clip that holds that on, so if I get that clip pulled off right there. Word to the wise, if you're going as far with this as I am, I would recommend picking up a new airline set. It is tied in with the wiring harness, so that's going to have to be undone. But especially on this side, I could not get it out of here without damaging the line. So it is what it is. The other side came out perfect. This side was a little rusty in there, and it was kind of acting as glue. Plus there's O-rings in there, so there was just a lot of friction, and it is what it is. So being that I'm replacing this as well, be kind of dumb not to just change out the airlines as well. So at the end of the day, everything back here is going to be brand new. Just wanted to throw a little FYI out there that these are fragile, and if it doesn't come out easy, it might get damaged trying to get it out. Out with the old, in with the new. And to wrap up the rear, the top and bottom nuts get torqued down to 70 foot-pounds. I'm still waiting on my new airlines to come in, as well as the air compressor. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and replace the front and rear sway bar end links. All right, shocks are in, sway bars are wrapped up, nearing the finish line. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out this inner fender liner so I've got a little bit better access to the air compressor back here. I've also got some new bump stops on order because these are completely roached. But to pull out this liner, there's a couple of plastic clips and an assortment of 7mm screws. Pulling the compressor is really straightforward. There's an air line, a wire harness, a vent tube, and there's 3 like slotted holes in the frame where these studs go into. You just push it in, kind of slide it in place, and then tighten down these nuts. But I'll be able to better show you guys that once I pull it out. So here's the air compressor, small, simple little thing. There's really only 4 steps to taking it out. So there's these studs right here, which are designed to go into slotted portions on the frame. As you can see, they'll fit into a little circle and then kind of slide down. You've got 2 13mm nuts right here. There's supposed to be one right here. Not sure what's going on there. I'm pretty sure this has been out before because this style nut is not factory, and there was an extra stud just laying inside the frame, so who knows. But anyway, once you take those out, you have to undo the main electrical connector, pull the air hose, and then there's a vent tube line right there, and then you can just kind of lift it up and pull it out of the slots. Easy. The tricky part with replacing the factory air hoses is that most of them are actually wrapped into the same looms as the main wire harnesses, so it would be really difficult to pull all of that out. So for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to bypass all of the original hoses and route my new hoses similar, but just on the outside of the looms and just zip tie them up. So hopefully I don't ever have an issue with them, but if I do, they'll be significantly easier to service. All the rest of the stuff I ordered came in, so let me give you guys a quick look and then I can start wrapping all of this up. Like I said, all of this stuff is in my Amazon store if any of you guys are interested in any specific parts. So this is the new compressor, Dorman part 949-099. It is a complete all-in-one replacement type deal. So we've got this new little vent tube, filter, whatever you want to call that thing. So I still got to pull the original one out. There's a new plastic line set. This attaches to the body on here somewhere. I think there's a hole on the other side. But this little clear line goes to the compressor. This short line goes directly to the driver's side rear shock, that one that got messed up when I was pulling it off a second ago, so that's pretty sweet. I ended up actually ordering this extra line set. I can't remember this part number right off, but this is another Dorman part as well. But instead of using this entire thing, because I've got this with the new compressor, I'm probably just going to take the longest one off to go to the passenger side and just chuck it on that and just have these as extra if need be later on. But anyway, this installs back exactly like the original one. It plugs up exactly like the original one, so this is going to be super easy, super straightforward. Of course, I've got a set of new bump stops, and I was able to get 2 new center caps to replace the 2 with all of the broken tabs. So anyway, let's get back to work. Good, now that's set in place. Just got to tighten the nuts so it cinches up to the frame. Compressor's mounted, electrical connectors plugged in. I've got the T-fitting secured in that little hole right there. The clear tube going to the compressor. This tube, like I said, goes to this shock. So I'll just pull off that little cap. This just snaps right in. Make sure you hear that little click. And then the original one, we can just terminate. That's never going to be used again. And then plug the electrical connector for the shock back in. So I've got that nice and secure. Now I just have to run the air line over to the passenger side and we'll be good to go. Also need to rip out these nasty bump stops. Super easy. They just pop out, especially if they're crumbling, and then might have to use a little bit of finessing, but no, look at that. Pops right in place. Good as new. Right, passenger side line. Heard the click. Now this one just needs to be stuffed all up in there and routed accordingly, just to protect it from dust and dirt and stuff. Just put a little bit of tape on there, right? And then it makes it also easier to see as it goes across. Okay, just snap that in. Now we just got to go across and secure the airline, make sure it's not rubbing up against anything to get cut. And after all that, yeah, I think we're good. The front bump stops are definitely not near as bad as the rear ones, but they're just as easy to change out. So we're already here and it came as a set, so why not? Just push it back in, make sure the little tabs hold it in place. Sweet. The passenger side rear bump stop basically didn't even exist anymore. That little black air vent thing goes up in the body. It secures to a Christmas tree clip up by the filler neck. Yep, it's going up. All right, guys, it took probably less than a minute or so for it to pump up and get back up to normal ride height. But this is also the first time I've hooked up a trailer with all the brand new stuff, so I'm sure it won't take quite as long next time. But as you can see, it brought everything up to where it needed to be. Now, if I was going to go out and actually trailer the 240, I'd probably put a different ball hitch on there. It's sitting, or the trailer's sitting a little bit low in the front. But for demo purposes, this at least gives you an idea of just how much better it is, because it was pretty bad beforehand. This looks awesome. I'm so happy all of that is out of the way. The system is functioning exactly like it's supposed to. Man, oh man, obviously it would have been a whole lot cheaper just to ditch the air ride and the electronic shocks, but that was one of the things that made this thing special back in the day, and I just couldn't bring myself to get rid of it all, especially with having this load leveling capability. That is just a wonderful feature to have. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please don't forget to leave a like down below, because it really helps the videos a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing that as well, and make sure those notifications are on. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.